I just hope I say it right. I think we're live. So welcome to Labels, where I am Label and I am joined by my labeled label. And today we are going to be talking about labels. So let me rephrase that in case you missed it, because sometimes we just need labels to understand what's going on. Welcome to Phoenix Talks, where today's topic is going to be labels. I am Micah, also known as Brenda Wolf, and I am joined by my co-host, Diane R. And I kind of surprised her with how I was going to open it. She was like, "Oh, just run it by me and we'll see how it goes." And I'm like, "No, I don't know." But I wanted to, get everybody into a receptive mode about what we're talking about today, because it is such a broad topic of things that we need and things that we don't, because we don't understand. Okay, I'm going to throw something out real quick. All right.
Go for it.
Giant giraffe that's purple on roller skates. All right. So while you get that image in your mind, because I know it's right there. Why? Because you know what each of those words are. And each of those words are labels that we have given.
That's right. I love the way you did that, by the way. I'm going to forever have a purple giraffe on roller skates in my head.
Until I switch the picture to a purple elephant. Now you're going to be picturing a purple elephant. Okay.
Dang it.
But we acquire all of these things throughout our lives so that we understand. Now, I'm going to flip the switch right over to Diane, because she wanted to take it a different path before we fall down that rabbit hole, because we can always come to that any moment.
Well, the rabbit holes are parallel to one another and join in various areas multiple times. So it's all with the idea of labels are important to have so that we understand what something is and what category it is, or what similarities there are, when labeling yourself in different ways. But they become a prison for you and a limitation for you when you stop at a label, when you don't allow yourself to move past that label and see what other labels resonate with you also. So it's a matter of, don't get caught in, my take on labels is they're great because they help us learn about ourselves until you get stuck in one of them. And then you stop your growth, or you self-sabotage in certain ways by limiting yourself.
Right. Now here's an interesting parallel that came to mind while you were explaining that. Okay, on one hand, you've got Gucci. On the other hand, you have George. Have you heard of both of them? Probably. If you've shopped at Walmart, you know that George is one of their main products. And you know it's the label that they sell. Now, many people want to be and own Gucci. Why? Because it's a popular label. Is it the same material? Probably. But it has a different name. So we put different importance on different labels.
Right.
Based on what we know.
Labels are descriptive for information. So it's more gathering intel and information so that you can discern what you're aligning yourself with. Because when we get caught up in the I'm Gucci, and to use your reference, I'm Gucci, not George, or I'm George, not Gucci, we're limiting ourselves to possibilities. And they may be made from the same material. They may be made in the same factory. Don't know. Not my industry. Doesn't really matter.
But who's to say that either better than the other?
Exactly. The point is that you were making is that they're both the same. And that means it is a limiting label. So when you're addressing yourself in different aspects in life, understand that's just descriptive information about yourself to help someone else understand you, or to help you understand yourself. We describe ourselves, I'm a healer. Well, what the hell is that? I could tell you what that
You're a
means.
healer? Where did you study? Where did you study? Huh? Do you have a piece of paper that labels you that you can do that?
Right. I mean, the reality is it's all made up. It's whatever we are.
Yes.
And all we have are descriptives to share who we are with others. And that's what these labels are they're descriptives. The part where we have to be careful of is that we don't get caught or stuck in a descriptive. Real world application of George and Gucci is you limiting what kind of job you think you are capable of doing. Instead of aiming higher or differently in a different direction to give yourself the opportunity to see if that's going to fit for you better than what you think is safe for you to do.
Right.
So, you might get caught in that label because it's easier and comfortable. And then that stops your growth. So, that's like maybe an employment example. In relationship examples, ooh, I'm gonna get some for this one. We label each other boyfriend, girlfriend. And I don't know who made up those terms. You all historian lovers, you can, ask Google for us and let us know.
But heaven forbid you reference a male friend of yours that you aren't dating, married, seeing as a boyfriend. Correct.
So these labels are made up. What are they truly? What are they really? Are they a partner? Are they a companion? Again, all of these are just descriptives. So when we get caught on labels, we almost trick our brains into maybe if somebody says boyfriend, girlfriend a little too soon, instead of taking the time to get to know each other more, because you have to have that designation now that you've created this romantic chemical attraction thing. You know what I mean? Like, so now you're going to get stuck in some kind of situation because of that label.
Right.
To a certain degree or another,
And a very simple exercise. I mean, it could happen like this for anybody watching. How do you finish this statement? I am. What goes after that? And in any given situation, you make a mistake. I am. You have success. I am. You're looking for somebody or something and trying to describe yourself to them. I am. How do you finish those statements? Jot it down in a journal if you want, or just keep track of it in your mind. Because we label ourselves based on our perceptions.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Purple breath.
Absolutely. And that's part of the self-analysis work is question, what label do I want to give myself? What descriptive, how am I describing myself? How I'm describing myself is how I see myself. And it may not be the same as how you see me. You may have other labels and descriptions for me in any direction.
But that's based on our perception. And this falls in line with judgment,
right.
Which we talked about several weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because we label things, because we learn associations, and that's what labels are. When you go to the grocery store, okay, there's a lot of hype and talk right now. And I mean, it's been going on for years, but it's starting to build even more. But there's hype about looking for certain ingredients to avoid. So you're picking up the labels so that you can reference whether or not that ingredient is in there. Same applies. It's recognition.
Right.
So labels are good. Labels can be bad. Labels can be harmful and helpful at the same time.
Right.
Because you wouldn't want to look at two liquids that weren't labeled and one of them was bleach.
Right.
So we do need those.
Spirit is messing with my face, so I'm going to say.
I apologize. I hope that does right. It's tickling.
So that means we're on track.
It's like, no, don't tell them that. Wait, we have to.
I always sense that as an acknowledgement.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, you get choked up. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, but yes, absolutely. Our labels will limit us or set us free. So choose your label very wisely and ask yourself a ton of questions. Use that as self-analysis. Use those I ams as self-analysis work.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's not just a matter of affirmation. It's how do you view yourself? How do you label yourself?
right.
And when you catch yourself trying to rise up from where you were and you fall into those labeling traps that you've been trying to get out of, it's okay. It's habit. It's because that's how you were trained, and not just by the world around you, but how everything has been associated with
Right.
it from what you've learned.
Right. Yeah, and it can be very limiting in the spiritual journey as well, because there's many people who are awakening and discovering and learning, etc., and then get caught up, well, I'm a starseed or I'm a whatever is out there as labels, and then they don't move past that specific description.
Right.
And so that can be limiting too. It's like heavily associating yourself with one specific thing isn't allowing yourself to take all the other labels that also resonate with you and add them into your toolbox and your repertoire and accept them as part of who you are, all of it. So I want to just express that out loud, because I think that's something that people need to hear, is that see everything, well, see all the labels that resonate with you, and educate yourself on everything and allow yourself to be and experience all of it. There's no rules out there anywhere that say you have to fit in one box or two boxes and that's it.
Well, I
So
expressed last week how I don't like to be put in a box.
yes.
Because there are many shades to me. Just like there are many shades to you. And you, the viewer, there are many shades too. Now, speaking of shades, while you were talking about that, I kept coming back to the purple, because that's what we started out with. All right. How
Yeah.
many shades of purple are there? Is there just one? Is there just one shade of purple? No, there's not. So how we view ourselves, we can't fit into a box because there are too many shades.
Right.
We can't fit into one ideology, too many shades. Even in those ideologies, there are too many shades. There are too many different labels.
Right.
And some consider me a shaman.
Yeah.
Other shamans don't consider me a shaman
Right.
because I don't have lineage, I don't have heritage, I don't have a tribe yet.
Right. And that label,
But
by
does
the
that,
way, I heard recently, the shaman label I heard recently is no longer as desired. And I don't remember what the replacement label was, but I'm like, I heard that now flying around.
haven't come
So
across that yet, but yeah,
labels change too.
they do. They do. As customs change, as traditions change. I mean, going back to the shaman, when shamans first came about, it was to protect the community and the tribe that they were in. They weren't just healers, they were warriors. And there's a lot of people in the world that still hold on to that ideology. And anything beyond that ideological label
Yes.
is wrong. That's where we're going to bring it back to
Yeah.
label. Because in your life, wherever you feel like you're going, whatever you feel like your calling is, what you're drawn to do, it's going to be challenged by those in that same calling, even if you are more knowledgeable than they are, because you haven't fit their box.
Right.
And their labels.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
That's why you got to analyze.
And I'm here to tell you it's time in the spiritual community alone to change.
Well, that just comes along too with deeper layers of releasing judgments, because
Yes.
labels do create certain judgments. And again, labels are good and bad. And in every aspect of life, you know, this is a water bottle. I know it's a water bottle. There's a label, boom, right there. And that kind of stuff, it's incredibly useful. But when it comes to your being and who you are as a person and your makeup and whatever, you know, how many people struggle with society's programming of how they look and struggle to call themselves beautiful.
Perfect example this morning. I wanted to go for a walk. I didn't want to have to put on clean clothes prior to showering, to go out and get sweaty walking. And I almost didn't wear my pajamas out. Why? Because of that programming. You can't go out in public like that.
Right.
Now that's a broader, perspective of labeling, but it's still something that goes on with the programming that we try and overcome as we're becoming authentic.
Yep.
I walked in the pajamas, didn't care.
Exactly.
Did people label me? I don't know. Does it matter? No. Did they label me as lazy for taking a walk in pajamas? No. Did it matter to them? Probably not. Was this a self-inflicted judgment that I had to overcome in order to go and do what it was that I wanted to do? Yes. To get over the labels, you have to take the first step.
Yes. And stop judging yourself. Yes.
I mean, if I pop up into a, can you believe he went out like this feed, like they used to do with Walmart, great, thanks for the publicity, I appreciate it.
Right. Who cares? Yes. So use labels to your advantage is what I'm going to say. And I think that using labels to your advantage comes in many, many forms, not just in affirmations, but in something simple like, oh, I'm tired. Don't say that all the time, because guess what? You're going to be more tired. So catch yourself saying stuff like that. And we all struggle with this because, it's like, catch yourself as you put those labels that are keeping you stuck on yourself, and recognize that that's not how you wish to feel. Acknowledge your body's needing rest. And instead of saying, I am tired, saying, I've earned some rest. Change what you say. Change how you label things regarding yourself.
Careful how you label time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's been such a long day. Did we gain an hour? Did the number of hours and minutes and seconds in the day change? No. It's amazing. It sounds so silly to think, but from personal experience, I stopped saying, oh my God, it's been such a long day, because of the label that puts on the amount of time.
Yeah.
And I changed the label. I have had a busy day. I have had a full day. And now I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sleeping or resting.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Just a few changes in how we label our experience can enhance it.
Absolutely. It makes a big difference when you talk to yourself with compassion, and with unconditional love. And I just can't stress on that unconditional word, because that means without judgment. That means without the projected expectation of pressure, all that stuff that makes you increase your cortisol levels.
Exactly. And you know what's even crazy about that one statement is that there are people in the world that will say, well, how do I reach unconditional love? And then they start putting pressure on themselves so that they are experiencing and projecting unconditional love into themselves and in the world around them, that they lose sight of what it was they were trying to do. Because all of a sudden you start thinking, oh, I have to have this unconditional love for myself. Well, what does that mean? And then, oh, I have to work on this, I have to work on this, I have to work on this, I have to work on this. Pressure.
Right.
You ready for a quick affirmation that's even quicker than the last one I gave you?
Go for it. Come on, bring it.
I am that I am.
That's always a good one.
And whatever that is beautiful, regardless of where you're at in life. And just acknowledging yourself that you are is showing yourself that you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, it could be wrong. People can argue with it. That's fine too.
That falls into a whole bunch of different categories as well, because when you have to acknowledge yourself as just a being that just is, and is perfection in it of itself already, then you need to also allow yourself to accept the reasons why you're already perfect, even if you didn't agree with them before. So basically it means doing your shadow work and loving every aspect of yourself, as well as checking yourself when you're creating shadows that didn't need to be there.
What'd you label them?
Right.
What label did you give them?
Right.
Were they labeled abuse?
Right.
Were they labeled
So,
gossip?
labels give us an opportunity to examine, if we choose to ask, why do I feel that way? Do I feel that way? Where am I getting that from? What do I really want? It's an opportunity to get to know ourselves a little bit better and heal and expand our knowledge and our being.
I love the inspiration and aha moments that I have in our conversations.
Yay.
Because whatever we are feeling in any given moment doesn't last. We are in that moment. And in that moment, we feel label here. So when you are grieving, you're not grief. When a situation is sad, you're feeling depressed, but it is depressing. So it is, if you are looking for a different way to view what you're feeling, remember that it's in that moment and it's going to pass. Anybody who says that they live depressed is lying to themselves.
So
That sounds harsh.
if that's the label that you are feeling, we all have to experience the widest range of emotions there are. Don't get stuck in that. Instead, allow yourself permission to choose a replacement thought and a replacement behavior to bring yourself out of it. And I'm not saying this is going to work for everybody. Everyone's on their own journey with different levels of the spectrum of that state. So for those with whom this does resonate and they do want to give this a try, and you need to have this consistency with yourself as well.
Right.
To give themselves the opportunity of analyzing why and what is that coming from and what's bringing that on, and allow yourself to help yourself out of it with how you truly wish to see and feel and do for yourself. So use that replacement behavior, therapy.
There's so many different ways to get through it and around it.
Yeah.
It really is.
And again, it may not work for
My way's
everybody,
not
but
going to resonate for everybody. Your way's not going to resonate for everybody. I mean, shoot. Tony Robbins, his way's not going to resonate for everybody.
Mhm.
It's all a matter of what works for you.
Right.
But remember, when it's like, okay, I am depressed, and this is something that it comes repeatedly from you, the viewer, or someone else. Are you all the time? If you crack a smile, if you laugh, if you chuckle, depression is gone in that moment. If you still have the capability, and there are some who don't, so I want to address that before I go on. There are some who unfortunately are physically broken to the point that they can't. But if you can experience those emotions still, laughter, joy, in a moment, then you can also remember that that sadness, that heaviness that you feel inside is just a label in that moment. It's just a thought. And it's going to pass unless you grab onto it like a teddy bear and hold on.
so I'm going to go back to what you just said about the thought. So a lot of us on our healing journey use a lot of external labels, things, healing tools, devices, skills, activities, etc. And then need to also put as much energy into the emotional aspect of it. In order to rewire your emotional energy, it requires intentional, conscious mental work. The healing process is a lot of mental work, and it is a lot of throwing out some labels and setting that dumpster on fire. And replacing with other labels that, and then taking action with those other labels in mind. What do I need to be that label that I just want to be?
Right.
And using that replacement of thought patterns and behaviors that will invoke the emotional energy that you wish to maintain. That was a big circle.
Which we like making. Because there's so many different variables that go into what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And labels is such a big one because we cannot know what's happening in our lives unless it has a name.
Yes. Yes. And I feel
Nothing.
like a shoulda bird is gonna sit on the tree with all the branches. That's that's gonna be a thing someday. Just wait.
I mean, Sydney Banks, I love his work and what he brought to, the world and field of psychology and mental health and well-being is that everything is based in thought. Well, everything in thought has a label, has a name.
Right.
Who is he? There's still a label, he. Who is she? There's still a label, she. Why do I feel this way? There's where we need to discover the label. What are the aspects of the story that's going on inside that you can, if you want, rewrite?
Mm-hmm.
Want to change labels? Get an off brand. Because sometimes always being stuck in the fact that you can't have the name brand is preventing you from being one.
And ask yourself, why not? Why not you? Why not? If when you limit yourself like that, and why not resonate with other things beyond that? I have almost the entire world represented in my space. because there is depth and truth in everything. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and build yourself, like Dr. Manhattan in The Watchers. Oh, that was so nerdy.
I know
Another
the movie
label
well
I
enough to
enjoy.
comment, but okay, it was funny to you, so I joined.
Some people might understand, I don't know.
Oh my
But
God, I'm
basically
a nerd.
rebuild yourself.
There's a label because you just said, "Oh my God, I'm such a nerd."
I know, I that's one of my favorite labels for myself, because I enjoy all kinds of knowledge, period.
Does that stand for not everyone respects Diane?
Oh gosh, I never thought of that. Oh, now I'm gonna make it an acronym. I don't know. I'll come up with something. We'll see.
Years ago, I played a game that was create acronyms off of, or given an acronym, and the challenge was to come up with the most creative wording. So that was fun.
I'll have to come up with something. So anyway, back to labels as we go off on our little tangent.
I was just taking a moment to center back in. Sorry.
We really, I guess in my mind, the biggest thing that holds us back is what we call ourselves and the words that we use to describe ourselves. And they're all labels. Even when I tell people to stop self-deprecating, that's what I mean. What labels are you giving yourself and believing? It's that,
But that's how I am. Okay, well, how's that working for you?
right?
That may come across cruel, but it's true.
Yes.
You want to find happiness, you want to stop suffering, but all of the reasons to not keep coming up. I'm not going to use the word excuse because that puts pressure on people. But we do come up with all of these reasons why we can't do something.
Mhm.
How's that working? If we don't stop with the reasons to change the labels, change the attitude, change the judgment, especially of
Right.
ourselves. And changing our perception of the outside world is so much easier. It really is. But if you're just changing how you're labeling your experience on the outside world and not doing the change of the experience on the inside world, you're on the right track.
Right. So do the mental work. Think of what you're labeling yourself and why. Work through that. And if you're watching all of these Phoenix talks, you'll know how.
We're giving away so much and you're not paying a dime for it.
I know. This is free therapy. Free life coaching.
Therapy. Go back and piece it all together.
Yes, yes, yes.
Which, while fun to watch, if you want to do a little bit quicker, then contact one of us.
Oh
We
God.
piece it together kind of like this.
Yeah. Yes,
All
absolutely.
it takes is one of these conversations.
Yes. I love our conversations because they're full of meat and potatoes.
Oh my God. And people need to go on a diet after they watch one, I'm sure. Because they're so full.
And release all that does not serve them anymore.
Right. And, we haven't been saying this from week to week, but if any of what we say doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. And we appreciate
Absolutely.
it because everybody is going to have a different experience. But for
Right.
those that it does have resonance with and are enjoying this, then this is 100% for you.
Yes.
And thank you for continuing to tune in.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of tuning in, is there any comments?
No, it's been really quiet today. We have a consistent two viewers plus me because it'll show you watching myself. But so far we are very quiet in the chat room. But if there are last chance while we're live, because we're probably going to be wrapping this up in the next 5-10 minutes, but last chance. If there are any questions from or comments that the live viewers want to make, please feel free. If there are any comments from people watching the replay, please drop them in. We'd love to hear from you and hear your perspective of anything that we've talked about.
Yeah.
And what labels are you giving yourself that you want to get rid of? What labels do you see in the world around you that you want to think differently about? Because they do bother you. They do affect you.
I actually want to ask the two folks that are on, if they want to ask us about a label that they're struggling with, if they wanted to do that on this platform. No obligation, just throwing it out there.
I'm looking to see what our, okay, we have about a 5-second delay between.
Okay.
So it won't type away and we'll get it within 5 seconds. So while we're waiting on that, it's just amazing. You look around, what color is your room? There's a label. What color is your phone case? There's a label. What brand of phone do you have? There's a label. What are you sitting on? What are you standing on? What are you watching this on? Where do you walk around? You can't do anything without a label.
A label, and I'm going to give you some personal share too while we're waiting. The labels that I'm still, my body is healing. I heal nicely. But obviously when you have stuff going on with yourself and you might be here and your body might not have caught up to you yet. You might be saying the right things to yourself and labeling yourself, but when you start doubting, I'm saying this is a personal shield because I'm living this right now with my own physical being.
Mhm.
The more I nurture myself with affirmations of where I'm headed, as if I am that in this now, the faster my body responds and gets me there. Because when I doubted myself and doubted what I was saying because I didn't see the results or was still feeling a certain kind of way, based on whatever's readjusting itself, I recognize and realize like, uh-oh, what am I saying to myself that's not healthy? And where am I stuck? Because I still feel certain oh, it's because I'm saying that. Oh, hello. And then the light bulb goes on. You're like, okay, I'm not going to emphasize the way I'm feeling. I'm going to emphasize what I wish to become and then ask myself, what can I do for myself to get myself to that next step? And I'll do something for myself in that moment.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is. So that's my personal share on how I've gotten myself out of a label hamster wheels that I got stuck on without realizing it.
Absolutely. And you know, I've seen a lot on Facebook lately where people are tired of having positivity shoved down their throats.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually so much of it right now that people are starting to reel back, and it's becoming a problem for them.
I think you just picked out next week's top. Well, I'm sorry. Are we skipping next week and going to the following? Probably the first week of July. I don't remember. But anyway, we'll
don't know
figure
yet.
it. But I think that's our next topic. Toxic positivity.
It very well could be, because we could have a long conversation about it. But when it comes to the labels, and just piggybacking off of what Diane just shared with us about her experience, remember that there is a process to get to where you want to go, to release the things you want to release. And it requires a level of positivity, but it's not asking for a replacement label. This is where you want to get to while working through. And we could have it, yes, we could have a full conversation about that. But you want to change the label. You want to get a different label. Well, sometimes when you're going from George to Gucci, now we're full circle. When you're going from George to Gucci, just because you want to have a Gucci and you want to be able to brag about having a Gucci, but you're on an income for George, there's going to have to be some set aside of finances so that you can afford that Gucci. Same thing. When the change of perception, the change of labels that you've been putting on yourself for so long want to be different. Yes, you can change your mind like that. I am going to stop giving myself negative labels.
Mm-hmm.
You can, in that moment, yes, make that declaration and you feel absolutely amazing in that moment. And then all of a sudden you get triggered by that same emotion. And you're right back to labeling yourself the way you were. It doesn't happen overnight.
So what helps with that is gratitude. Gratitude for everything. Everything is a gift. And if you see everything as a learning experience and as a gift, you'll feel more gratitude in all aspects of life. Gratitude for yourself, gratitude for the experience, gratitude for George or Gucci, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, whether it be on the material, mental, or emotional plane, express that this is a gift and I'm learning.
Yes.
And that helps with shifting your labels and perspective. Because basically when you're shifting those labels, you're helping rewire your brain and shifting your perspective.
Right. It's like I started off the show. Welcome to labels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Label, and this is my co-host Label.
Hi.
Because you don't know what the name of the show is without a label. You don't know my name without, or you don't know who I am without the name label. You don't know who Diane is without the name label. You don't know the topic without saying label 100 times.
Yeah. I think this was a great discussion, Micah.
It really was. And we've hit that 45-minute mark, which is the end of the sweet point or sweet spot for us each week. Because going on beyond that, and there's so much to unwrap.
Right.
But I do think that we should consider continuing on, piggybacking the labeling, and for once being able to tell you a week ahead of time.
Yes.
We're going to talk about toxic positivity next week because
I think that's great. Yes, it shows up in a lot of different ways and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. We could talk about all that. Perfect.
So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and for watching the replay. Thank you so much. If you have any comments that you'd like to make, please leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. And if you want the notification bell to go off for when we go live, please feel free to click that as well. I'll be putting the information to contact Diane directly and myself in the description once we go off air and I can do that editing. So thank you once again.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a beautiful week. You're welcome. Thank you and it was an amazing conversation as always. So keep going, everybody, and make it a great week.